Welcome. This is Case on the Go, a vlog series on trending topics and case solutions. Are you struggling to keep track of your IT assets and make sure they're updated and secure even when they're remote? Are you ready for the next cybersecurity attack? Are you leaving your data center behind and moving to the cloud? You're not alone. Welcome to the Case on the Go vlog.
All right, so hey, welcome back to another edition of Case on the Go. Today we're going to be talking about the impact of unpatched applications and end-of-life software. And obviously everybody knows that's a problem, but what we want to explore is maybe some of the things people might not think about. So as relates to that. So my name's James Rico. I also have Jillian Solomon and Dave Hunter with us. We're all Case sales engineers. So with that, I'll pitch it over to Jillian. And Jillian, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so, one of the things I love most about my job is the conversations I get to have with such a wide variety of IT departments. The other day, I was speaking with a gentleman, and he is in the higher ed space, and the hospital that is affiliated with the school was actually hit with ransomware. And unfortunately, this wasn't the first time. So he had mentioned to me that he was out riding his bike, and I think it was like extreme bike riding. Ends up in a very bad accident, and just so happens he goes to the ER of the hospital that at the same time is having the breach, which I thought was kind of interesting. So he was explaining how all elective surgeries had to be canceled for the day. Any emergency surgeries they were shipping those patients out to different hospitals in the area. And he did make me laugh. He said that there were nurses that were making rounds to do take vitals of the patients, and it was complete mayhem. They didn't know what they were doing because they didn't know how to manually take those vitals. So I think we become so dependent on technology that when it's not available, our brain doesn't know how to react.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of this could have been avoided if he actually just upgraded his virtual environment.
Wow. And so do you know what the particular breach was that affected them?
Yeah, I believe it was called ESXi ARGS, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But when I look at the CVE, it's really just any customers that were running version 6.7 were vulnerable, and they just needed to upgrade to version 7, and that removed that vulnerability.
Wow. Yeah, I think a lot of times, that just patching things is really a good first step into keeping things up to date, obviously. So that's a good one. Dave, what about you? What experiences have you had?
Yeah, obviously, like Jillian, we talk to different IT groups and people all the time, right? Different, internal skill sets or budgets, and everyone's got some restraints, right? This one, the one that comes to mind isn't really about patching per se, but it's around just best practices around security and mobility products, right? So I had something pretty close to home that, when COVID kicked off, everyone's reactive. I don't think there was any bad actors, right? Everyone was just trying really hard to keep businesses afloat. So an individual did a bunch of payroll from their mobility device, and this corporation didn't have a mobility tool in place. So, whether it was jailbroken or whatever it may have been, right? And then, so long story short, there was some malware on a device, and in turn, a large portion of customer employee data was compromised, right? So once again, it's something that is avoidable. Company then has to, pay for X amount of years of creditor protection and things like that to their employees, which even still, isn't great because that employee could be threatened years away from now, right? But once again, people are trying to just do the right thing, keep the business afloat. Catch up. So we see that quite a lot, I think, now that companies are trying to loop back around and catch up to what they had to do a couple of years ago, right? Some of them are paying the price, right?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but like when I talk to people, like if we're talking about patching or whatever, a lot of times I'll ask them, hey, do you guys do your employees have mobile devices they access company data with? And almost everybody, I haven't anybody said no. Like the second question is, what do you guys, do you have any controls around it? Do you manage that? And the percentage of people that do is very small. I don't, has that been your experience also?
Yeah, I mean, I used to manage production environments before, and it's shocking to me that they don't even have basics like a passcode security on a device that has access to corporate data, right?
Yeah.
At a minimum. So, we see that all the time. Yeah, it's actually very surprising.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm actually shocked half the time that, people in IT keep their jobs half the time when you have a look at their environments and how, insecure or out of date products are, right?
Yeah. I think when I'm looking at the issue, I think one of the biggest things I think about is, those companies that have a handle on the easy things like their servers and their Windows desktops, or maybe let's say they even do have a mobile device thing. Like how many of those shops have some kiosk or signage embedded PC hooked to something that is just running all the time and nobody messes with, or some kind of kiosk device. One is with the people change jobs so frequently now. There's those kind of devices out there, and all of a sudden, the whole IT staff has changed over a year or two, and then there's things that people just don't know about. And if you don't know about them, even if they're maybe an older OS or something, if they know about them, they can take care of it. There's ways to remediate. I think that's one thing. The other thing, just kind of a little story was, I knew a customer that was working for a bank organization, had a lot of branches all over the place. Well, they're running ATM machines with Windows XP embedded. This is about 10 years ago, so that was not unheard of, but he tried to do the right thing and just patch those. Well, he didn't test or validate or anything ahead of time. I don't know how many hundreds of ATM machines he broke. So sometimes also you can be your own worst enemy around that stuff. It's maybe not a breach, but you always need to think about testing and doing things like that. So
yeah, it's interesting you bring up the whole the inventory thing, right? Even like we come across customers that have great tools in place, they're doing everything they can, but they just lack asset management or they lack good inventory control, right? So as you said, it just takes that one laptop that you refresh for someone and they're like, hey, can I just keep my laptop for a couple of weeks to make sure I have everything? That week turns into a month, turns into 6 months, and before you know it, it's back on the network and it's vulnerable, right?
Yeah, there's always that guy who has 3 laptops for some reason, at your company. It's like, where did those come from? How do you still have all those? But yeah, I'm 100% with you. Well, that, and if you think about, not only an attack or a breach or something like that, but if you don't have a good asset management plan in play, maybe like you said, somebody's trying to be helpful. They have some software they think they need. They download it, put it on their work computer, and then you get an audit. And if you don't know what's on your work computers, that could be a problem. They don't care, Microsoft or whoever. They don't care who put the software on there. They just see it there and they're wanting you to write them a check. So, I really think that's ties right nicely along with the conversation we're having today. So keep it moving along. Jillian, can you tell us a little bit how we use Case here at Quest?
Yeah, so we do actually drink our own champagne. We actually, that's right. We use Case internally, obviously, to manage our endpoints. And I can remember a couple years ago getting this urgent email that said any lab environments that were out there, they were required to have the Case agent installed on them because they wanted to ensure, those devices were getting critical security updates. When you think about Quest, think of all the different products that we have and all the testing that needs to be done. So I was just curious to see how many labs we actually had under management, and it's 8,881 devices. So I was kind of shocked at that number.
It's probably growing too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably increasing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think people think about that though. That's a great point. Like how many companies, they handle their standard stuff, and then you have these labs, computer labs, if they're in software cells at all. How many of those are patched or updated or even inventory?
Exactly.
I don't know.
What's also kind of cool is they actually use Case to deploy a script that will record who owns that lab device, so that if there is some type of breach, they know who to contact and they can act quickly. If they need to power down the machine or something like that. So you know, that's definitely a proactive approach and probably the right approach, to be honest. So kudos to our IT department for being so proactive.
Yeah. And those threat actors, they don't care if it's a lab machine or production or whatever. They're just looking for that foot in the door to get things going.
Yeah,
Right.
It's great. Yeah, I really didn't think about that either. I mean, you brought this up and was telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We really need to keep an eye on that. All right. Well, we've been going on for a bit here. Dave, we'll let you have the last word. Wrap us up today.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. So basically, say, with Quest Case, the family of Case products, we've got a few things that can definitely help people, right? We've got, the traditional systems management appliance, on-prem hosted Azure kind of thing, which will take care of, patch and overall and inventory management. We also have Case Cloud Secure, which is being developed very aggressively, right? So that's really a Mac, iOS, Android, Windows-based, subscription-based model, which can patch and do everything out of Azure. And I think the other part that sometimes people overlook is imaging, right? We still have a systems deployment appliance. So the ability to rapidly re-image and remove products that are infected from the environment, right?
Yeah.
There's one thing about being proactive, but when you do get hit, how can you maintain the business, re-image rapidly, and keep moving forward? So definitely have a bunch of things we can help you with. You got the three of us and our team behind us somewhere. We're here to help you guys and really, make it a positive experience.
Great. Good talk. Dave, Jillian, appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Visit at quest.com/case.